Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Champagne. And before this video gets started, you guys know the deal. We are on the path to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So make sure that if you're new to the channel or if you're a returning visitor to the channel but you've never pulled the trigger on the subscribe button, I highly recommend you do so. If you already enjoy what I do, why not? It's completely free. Doesn't cost you anything to click the button. So, welcome to the family. To the Spartan Army / Navy. And, on that bombshell, let's get this party started. We're going to be in the Champagne. And, we're on my favorite map, which is Estuary. It's always been my favorite map, and I can't really explain why, other than the fact that it has amazing crossfire potential, has plenty of avenues of approach that allow people to be more aggressive, so it kind of fits with me, right? Now here is going to be the thing. We're back in the Champagne. What is the Champagne? Champagne is essentially what you get at Tier 7 that wants to be what ends up being the Republique or the gas can, aka the Gasconia. Now, speaking of Gasconia, there's one across from us. And they just smacked us pretty good. But, we're okay. It's unfortunate that we had to run into the one guy that spawned next to us. Now watch what ends up happening. Like, this happens so often, too. Like, I want to go to a specific part of the map, right? Like, normally I would try to go forward, utilize the island as cover, and provide support with my team. But, my team is already filling that role. I don't need to do that. What I want to do is set up a crossfire. How do I do that? Well, I've got an engine boost on this ship, and that's going to allow me to get to the outside edge. Now, why do I compare this more to the Republique than the Gasconia? And that's simple. The Republique actually is decently accurate and hits pretty freaking hard. Gasconia, I've never liked it. I played it initially, and then I decided that I would never try to unlock that ship. Just not worth the effort, in my opinion, because it's just not good. Like, it's not accurate, it doesn't hit that hard, I just don't like the ship. But Champagne is accurate, and has some pretty nasty guns. And by nasty, I mean this thing's capable of citadeling Yamas at range, which we used to showcase back in the day when we initially unlocked this ship. Before Tier 8 was a thing, you know what I'm saying? When we actually had to go up against Yamas and stuff. But getting this thing in a crossfire is paramount. And then maintaining crossfires without getting obliterated is paramount. Now here we got a beautiful look at a broadside Iowa, and I don't think we need to talk about too much how this is going to end for the Iowa. Like, he gets lucky, or she in this case, her name's Crazy Girl, so I'm going to go with she. She is lucky that she doesn't get obliterated. And again, this comes down to my inexperience with the ship. Every ship that you play is going to play a little bit different. Yes, they have some common ground. It's a battleship, so you want to get those crossfires. You want to make sure you're angled relatively well. But the things that change the most between ship to ships or lines to lines, depending on nations, is shell velocity. Shell velocity, penetration angles, those sorts of things. They all affect how a shell interacts with the enemy ship when you hit it. This is why I prefer the Americans, because they just seem to be the most consistent. However, Champagne is disgustingly accurate for what it is. And that's a good thing. It's very accurate. It has to be very accurate, because you only get 2 turrets, and they only have 3 guns each. So you're only firing 6 shells at any given time at the enemy target. But we were spotted out on this edge, and so we know the destroyer's here. Right? Like, that was pretty obvious. I figure I didn't need to point that out, but I better just in case. Like, we know there's a destroyer nearby. We have a Friesland nearby, but the Friesland is not playing counter-destroyer. What is the Friesland doing? Focusing goddamn battleships because he's a damage-chasing little turd. This is what drives me crazy about gunboat destroyers. I love playing gunboat destroyers because of the ability to easily get out there and remove other destroyers. But I feel like I'm the only one that plays gunboat destroyers to kill other destroyers. You know, their primary mission is to kill other destroyers, right? Like, that's literally how they are built in this game. That's their job. To sneak around the map and remove other destroyers as their primary mission. But nobody uses them like that. Why? Because that would be difficult. Now, fortunately, the enemy destroyer has fumbled himself right into our Friesland, which is perfect. Of all the things he could have done, he went to the smokescreen of the one thing that can absolutely ruin him. Now, unfortunately, because our guy is in a smokescreen, the guy is only lit up for a short amount of time. And so, the Northern Dragon gets away, for now. We take a shot at the Bismarck, and I mean, it's a Bismarck, so you're going to get damage there. It's kind of like seeing a broadside of any American battleship. You know you're going to chunk them. Like, you may not citadel the Bismarck, but you're going to chunk it. And then if they do decide to angle, then you just aim a little higher, go for the superstructure, am I right? Like this shot, for instance, where we're going to aim a little higher and go for the superstructure and potentially upper side plating. And what do we end up with? Not the best shot in the world, only 2 hits. One of them bounced, so not the best shot in the world. But now that we realize that the enemy is backing off and that the destroyer was heading away from us, we're going to go back and press the issue. This comes down to the maintaining the crossfires that we were talking about earlier. Now, we're at 73,000 damage. We've done a pretty decent job of maintaining a pretty solid angle that's forcing the enemy to either stay broadside to us or go broadside to the other 2 battleships. And the enemy has pretty much chosen that, hey, 1 guy on our broadside is definitely less dangerous than 2 guys on our broadside. Makes sense, right? 1 + 1 = 2. Twice as good, right? Problem is, when the one thing that's on your broadside is a very accurate battleship with hard-hitting guns and high-velocity shells, even a dummy like me can hit those shots. And so 1 person on your broadside is absolutely tearing your team apart. So you should have reversed around the corner, utilized the island as cover, and then bow tanked me. But the other side of the map has also faltered, and that would have allowed them to potentially counter the cruisers from the other side of the map. Now, Northern Dragon has shown up and said hello. So we're going to punch him in the mouth, obviously. We hit him with all 3 rounds. Again, very accurate, the Champagne. It's just a glass cannon, okay? You can't get caught broadside in this thing. You've got to constantly angle. I'm not going to lie, this Northern Dragon, holy crap, played this perfectly. Again, this has been happening to me quite a bit here, and I knew that this guy had other torpedoes, and yet I still triggered the damage con immediately like a doofus, because watch what happens next. We heal, and the Champagne also has a pretty decent heal. It's something that a lot of people don't think about. Champagne also has a decent heal. But here's the deep water torp, and right across the schnoz, 11,000 damage, and a perma flood. And at this point I thought, well, I'm dead. I don't remember how long how much damage a single flood can do to you over the course of a flood, but I just assumed that I was dead. But you can see I am going to try to do as much as I can while I have resigned myself to my almost certain death. I'm going to try to put myself in a position to keep doing damage to the enemy, and then maybe I'll get fortunate enough to see somebody close enough to me that I could potentially utilize. Now, the other thing that this thing has is quick reloading heals. There's a short cooldown on the heals, much like the Georgia. If you guys played the Georgia, you guys know that the Georgia gets a much faster cooldown on the heals, and that's going to save our life, because that takes us up to a decent chunk of health again, and that's going to give us just enough time to stay alive and get to will to rebuild range. Now, this was before I switched from will to rebuild over to fight fire with fire. So that's one of the things that you get a trade-off. Like, if you want to use fight fire with fire, you're not going to have will to rebuild, so situations like this, you're probably going to die. Now, did I get much out of the will to rebuild before we ended up getting the heal off? Would we have survived that? I don't know. I think we would have survived that particular single flood, but you can see how devastating a flood is. So, folks, If you're in a situation like I just was in, and you take that initial flood, trust me, it's in your best interest to wait for any potential torpedoes, and we just slap the crap out of that Suja. That's the sniping that I'm talking about. The Champagne is very good at those crossfire situations, but you got to pay attention. You got to look for those crossfires. Okay, it's not going to come easy. You gotta get out there. You got to look for those crossfires. But again, like I was saying, one of the good features of the Champagne is A, it's fast, so it's able to get out on the flanks, and B, it's decently agile for a battleship and allows you to angle pretty well while maintaining the ability to get the guns on target. But a 2,000 base XP game, 128,000 damage, a decent showcase of just what this thing can do, even in the worst case scenario of getting rushed by a destroyer, which this thing is not equipped to handle against a destroyer at all. But we did a pretty solid job. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Is the Champagne a good ship? Is it a meme ship? I'm not sure. It kind of falls in the middle between good ship and meme ship. You know what I'm saying? It's a fun ship to play until you get detonated. You know, until you get caught broadside. And then in which case you're just like, I hate this ship. I don't want anything to do with this ship. But on that, let me know what you guys think, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.